What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 131 of the Noizze Podcast, part of the Noizze Podcast Network, and sponsored by Satanic Tico. I'm your host, your boy, Chris Pugh, as ever, and once again in visual form, hooray, hooray. I'm joined by my very good friend and Mr. Cynical himself, Samuel Lewis. Sam, how are we?
We are well. We are back. Face attached. Everything's going pretty well. We'll see how the reaction goes onto our social media front and all that sort of thing. My wallpaper's blank though, so I think I'm going to get away with it. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I've got a black hat on this time, so with any luck, I'll be free from scathing YouTube comments from Seven Dust fans. That what I mean, but if in case you're unfamiliar, I've got no idea what I'm talking about there. I don't know whether if you guys saw, but on our review of Seven Dust, where me and Sam were quite scathing towards them, someone commented and was really critical of my hat choice and my wallpaper, my parents' wallpaper choice that's up in this bedroom that I'm in, and just generally thinking I'm a horrendous person just because I didn't like the new Seven Dust album. So I tell you what, if you think your life is challenging, at least you're not a god that's commenting about and annoyed at someone because they don't like Seven Dust. Whoever you are out there, at least you're not the person annoyed that I don't like Seven Dust. We should tell you who we are. We're a fortnightly rock and metal podcast featuring news, album reviews, and interviews from your favourite bands. We're sponsored by the best metal tea brand and band in the world, Satanic Tea Co. You can find more about them in our description. We're available anywhere you get your podcast: YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you watch slash listen. We will be there. And the best way to support us is to like/subscribe, depending on whichever service you are using. You can also follow us on Twitter at Noizze Podcast. So we're going to close off the episode with a review of Skindred's new record, Smile. It's out on August 4th via Earache Records. It's the Newport reggae rock / party metal quartet's 8th album and the follow-up to 2018's Big Things. Just before we get into this, Sam, I kind of tweeted about this a couple of days ago, but I really stand by it. I think we take Skindred for granted. For a start, how many bands can you guarantee with absolute certainty would be a great choice at a main stage festival set? That's a small amount for a start.
Yeah. Kind of regardless of festival as well.
Yeah, that's literally. I'm gonna go. Yeah, that's one of the points I've got written down here. I've seen Skindred at the main stage of the festival twice, I believe. Once at Download, once at Reading and Leeds. Both times they've just been kind of unrivaled in terms of fun and party atmosphere. And I think they'd be as suited to playing Bloodstock as they would be suited to play Reading and Leeds. Again, that is a real rarity because the main stage at a festival dwarfs bands a lot. We saw Pendulum on the main stage at Download. It kind of sucked. They got dwarfed by it. It didn't work for them. Architects on the main stage of Download were very good, but again, kind of got dwarfed by it. Skindred sound amazing on every main stage they're on. They're a real rarity, Skindred are. We need to recognise how fortunate we are to have them on a more regular basis.
I would agree. I would agree. I think the thing is about Skindred is that they seem to appeal to a multitude of fans as well, and they've also managed to continue this level of success, simultaneously appealing to different kinds of fans, while not really adjusting what makes them successful at all.
No.
So they haven't done like a genre and then completely switched the genre and appeal to two different fans. There's no eras of Skindred. Their sound seems to simultaneously appeal to all different multitudes of rock fans, all different multitudes of music fans. And like you say, they are really, really good, really, really successful, regardless of the circumstances you seem to be able to put them in. I think that is something to be lauded. I would completely agree with that. I mean, I knew that regardless of what the album was going to contain, I was going to have a decent time listening to this Skindred record, regardless of what I felt. I knew I was going to probably enjoy it. And that's kind of the starting point is really good. And I agree with you. There aren't many bands that you can say that about where regardless of what's going to go on, you're going to enjoy the record. And if they're on a lineup, you know that they're solid for 30 or 40 minutes. I think it lends itself nicely, lends itself to the criticism sometimes with Skindred that will they ever shake off that moniker and sort of turn into a different kind of band. But at the same time, they don't necessarily need to. And by the sounds of Smile, they've got no real inclination to do that either, which is fine because it's a great role to be.
Well, I think when you factor in the fact that musically they've been really consistent, and the vocalist Benji Webb is one of the scene's real good guys, we're just lucky to have this band.
Yeah, I would agree. I think we are lucky to have this band, and I think the Benji. I mean, it's an obvious thing to say, but not because he's black, but because he has one of the most unique voices in metalcore,
Yeah,
one of the most unique voices
very
in the
unique. Yeah,
industry, and he has a particularly unique personality, and he's able to lend his voice to so many different styles and do it successfully, um, which gives Skindred a wide palette of sort of approaches that they can take to various songs and various styles and things like that. And I think that's a good thing as well. Yeah.
as we talk about Smile, I think this is a record, Sam, for me personally, that has no right to be as good as it is.
What do you mean by has no right?
Well, we're 20 years into their career now. And if you told me that Nobody was the best song that Skindred would ever write, I'd say, yeah, that sounds about right, man, because Nobody's an absolute banger. But there's like 7 bangers on this album. I think this album's really, really good.
I
I
think
really, really like this album. There's like 7 bangers on it. It's class.
it's really good. I agree with you. I wouldn't say that there were 7 bangers. I think there were 7 songs where you're like, oh, this is good. Maybe it's a result of your expectations. If you got the timer out again and you're looking at birth certificates and being like, come on now, lads, come on now,
No,
it's
no. I
album
just
number
feel
9
like
or something. What is it? It's time to
no,
go.
no. I just feel like again, I was just convinced that Nobody would just be the best Skindred song. Like,
Is it? Hold on. So does that mean after this album, you don't think that's the case? You think the best
no, no, I
Skindred
don't.
song
No,
is
no,
the record?
I don't think there's a song in here that's better than Nobody. But there's a few songs on here that I think could like throw punches with it,
Okay, I think that's very
which I
fair.
wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting at all because like Big Things, the album in 2018, that one kind of passed me by. Like it was, it's a fun Skindred album, but I actually feel like there's some really great songwriting on Smile. There's some of these choruses superb, and again just fits them perfectly back at that main stage at 4:30 when the lullies come in and the crowd need a lift. Just chuck Skindred on, like give them a yearly slot at Download, man. Or like if I was a festival booker and there was an alternative festival, I'd be chasing Skindred down for like a yearly booking because they're perfect for that slot. And this album absolutely lends itself to that main stage at 4:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think if you listen to the opening 2 tunes of this record, it's Our Religion and then Give Me That Boom, the least surprising opening for a Skindred record ever.
Yeah,
Like it's just like Our Religion. Oh, okay, punchy opening, Benji's voice, immediate swagger, immediate charisma. And then Give Me That Boom could be like, I feel like Skindred have written 17 versions of this song and I enjoy all of them. And you
yeah.
could put you could put this song on any of their previous albums and it fit really nicely into it. Um, I just it kicks off really nicely. However, I want to say though, as we talk about the album in a more holistic sense, there's a lot more variety on this than I was expecting.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
they sort of pushed the boat out a little bit further. I was expecting Give Me That Boom times 12, to be honest.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, and what I found was there's a lot of room that they're evidently trying to grow and sort of experience different kind of music. And the fact that they've got Benji allows them to do a lot of this stuff because his voice seemingly suits every genre. Like it's
yeah,
it's wild. They did a drum and bass song on here, Life That's Free, and it works. And then they did like a traditional soul reggae tune in the title track, and it works. And and then they tried Mama, and it works. And like they try synth stuff on State of the Union, and it works. And I'm like, I reckon they could do a jazz record, and I like that'd be
yeah.
fine. They could do bass line, like that. They could do anything they really wanted to. because they've got this really versatile group. They've got this really collection of interesting musicians. They've got a tremendous vocalist, and they've got this sort of wide-ranging palette of talents that can sort of apply to all these various different sounds. I think it works really well. I think it keeps you guessing, and it settles you into, it establishes early on what Skindred typically sound like. Then it diverts away, and then it comes back to it at the end, and it feels nice as a collation of music for them. And I agree. I was expecting to be able to say I could have reviewed this album after the first two tunes,
Yeah.
type of thing. It sounds like Skindred did before that, and Skindred did before that, and all that type of stuff. But it doesn't. It doesn't, and I'm happy to report that it is both reassuringly familiar and refreshingly different at the same time.
Well, I'd like to pick up there with Life That's Free. There's a fair few singles that have been released from this album, so we won't go too far into detail on those. But Life That's Free hasn't been a single that's released, and I think it's the moment where I was really brought in to the album. Our Religion is a great opening, and Benji sounds outstanding. Give Me That Boom is your perfect atypical Skindred song. I really like Set Phases, but Life That's Free is where I really got bought in, because there is a shift in tonality and kind of solemnity in Life That's Free, which is a really interesting change of pace. And people, including me, forget Benji Webb can actually sing really well. He's actually a great singer, Benji Webb is, and I forget that all the time. He leads Life That's Free fantastically, and Life That's Free is the kind of track that I wouldn't trust most bands with, because there's a kind of motif slash refrain of the lyric "Yes, I'm living." And if you told me that a band were going to do a refrain of the lyric "Yes, I'm living," I'd be really nervous about it. But for the fact of, oh, it's Skindred doing it, oh, they'll do something really cool with it then. And they do, because the "Yes, I'm living" reframe slash motif around these like massive choruses that stick to you like glue. And the "Yes, I'm living" delivery is really heartwarming, but it's also apt. And with Life That's Free, it's kind of like Skindred at everything that Crossfaith should be, but like Skindred is just like a really good version of it. Like Skindred are like the experienced, well-crafted band that Crossfaith aren't, and that's why Crossfaith struggle when they do anything more than an EP. And but for Skindred, like Life That's Free is a fantastic song, and it brought me so far into the record, and it was a really, really nice surprise, because similar to yourself, after Our Religion Give Me That Boom, I was like, right, this is really fun, but could I review this now? And actually, Life That's Free is a completely different change of pace, but just wonderfully delivered.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. Drive-by shooting on Crossfaith, by the way. Just a sad day for Crossfaith.
They're a good band, but they should be better than what they are.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're exactly as good as they're capable of being. Is that somehow harsher?
Yeah, it is actually. That's actually nastier than what I said.
Actually, there's no ceiling for you. You're already at it.
Actually, the ceiling is right by the floor that you're standing on.
You see where your ankles are? That's where the ceiling is.
Right, we're gonna go back to this album.
Yeah, okay.
Sam, something tells me you're gonna really like Disappointed Love, so I'm gonna let you take that one. So as I was listening to it, I bet Sam really likes this.
Yeah, because I like the specials and I like Scar, and this was I miss organ in music. Like I
More
do.
organ.
Honestly, like we did ELO, we did early Bruce Springsteen, and then we just stopped. And I'm like, where did it go? Like, bring back the organ, man. Like, if you got a guitar solo, there's the guy in the background just doing those chords over the top. I mean, I'm like, that is all I need. Honestly, I think Slipknot could do with more organ. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll just put it in anywhere.
Sam the Organ Fiend Lewis. I'll keep that in mind.
Listen, you got any of that organ?
But there is a real chameleonic charm to Skindred, isn't there? And it slaps you across the face in Disappointed Love, because it does, it does take that a very soul reggae led twist. Disappointed Love does, which comes in with wonderfully timed to come in at the midsection of the album.
Well, yeah, well, that's the thing, and it switches up though. It doesn't actually maintain that style throughout, and it actually goes into a traditional rock groove.
Yep,
and away from it.
that huge metal climax is a wonderful adrenaline rush.
I agree, and I think they're aware as well of the balance of the music that they need to create. They're sort of teased with another genre, and they're always willing to sort of go back to the Skindred style just to keep things sort of level and to sort of keep the song interesting, the dynamic shifting. It's the same throughout. It's like Black Stars starts with the group vocal. Oh, that's different. I like that. I like it. And then by the middle, there's a legitimately heavy middle eight. And it's like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, they're a metal band when they want to be. And then they're coming with like State of the Union and Addicted with like an extra bit of guitar and then Unstoppable at the conclusion, which is like that marching rhythm at the beginning, and he's like just a classic Skindred song for the next 3.5 minutes. Um, I think they've done enough here to really garner some real praise in the sense that they've not only done what they continue to do successfully without it being dull, which is an
yeah,
achievement in itself, they've
yeah,
also managed to vary their music, but not to the point where it isolates what they're good at already or what their fan
yeah.
base is, regardless. And they've managed to mix those two things together within same songs sometimes, rather than doing it separately. Like, like when we used to review those classic metalcore, I say classic, but like we used to review metalcore records in like 2017, and the last
Yeah.
song was always the slow one,
Yeah, yeah,
like always, and it would immediately come after a really heavy one, or there'd be a slow one, and then the next one would be an absolute rager for 2.5 minutes, and it was
yeah.
like they were all subscribing to the same like style blueprint track listing. Well, the thing is here is it would be so easy for Skindred to be like, here's the ska song, here's the reggae song, here's the drum and bass song, and here's four Skindred tunes, bash them together just to reassure you. But what they've done, the more difficult thing, is they've blended some of these together and they've used their original guitar tone and the original sound almost as a palette cleanser every time they try a different genre and then move to a different style really nicely, rather than over relying on the same sound, which is if they did, like, who could blame them? It's just been the heart of their success for 15 years. But they've also gone in enough of a direction where it maintains the interest, but not too much, like I said, where it doesn't isolate the fan base. I think that's really hard to do
Yeah.
and could only be done by a band that has the kind of versatility that Skindred do. And again, just to be able to come through this and to not be like, I don't know, like sort of underwhelmed at the consistency of the music and just be like, I wish they tried something else. And in my head, I wish they tried this. And this is what, without really knowing what it was, this is kind of what you hope for when a band brings out a new album, that you get enough of what they're good at and also a bit of variety elsewhere. And then it blends together too. So it feels like they're moving forward. And I think they do all that really successfully here. This isn't going to be like a top 10 album of the year for me. I think it's a good album, but it might be one of the like pleasant surprises of the year kind of thing. In the sense that from my expectations going in and what I came with coming out, those two couldn't be further apart.
I think this album's great. I There's vibrancy to it. There's
Okay.
color. There's fun. There's seriousness. There's solemnity. I think this album is everything I could have hoped for realistically when pressing play on it for the first time. I think that it's kind of re-energized me on Skindred because they were a band that I had to like. My tweet that I made the other day about us taking for Skindred for granted. That was targeted at me as much as anyone else because I take them for granted. I forget that actually Skindred are this great band that when we look back on the first 20 years, the 21st century, we think about like consistency and band that like help move the needle. Skindred should be in the conversation because of the guaranteed consistency both live and in terms of on album, and this has re-energized my kind of enjoyment of and based from this almost adoration for them. So I think this is a great album with just a cacophony of great songs that I realistically could not have hoped for more than. I really really like this. I think that this isn't just going to re-energize me on Skindred. I think Skindred are going to be talked about on a more regular basis for the next like 6 months. Also, I really, really like this, and I think it's going to continue to push Skindred, which 8 albums and 20 years into their career. How many times do we say that about an album? Better band 2 decades in.
Agreed, mate.
It's everything that I wanted that Teenage Wrist album that we just reviewed to be. It's everything that I hope that would be. It's vibrant and it's fun and it's colourful. And it doesn't take itself too seriously while it's also incredibly authentic and legitimate. Love this album.
That's fair.
We're going to leave episode 131 of the Noizze podcast there. Thank you so much for listening. Remember that you can support us by subscribing, /liking, /following, depending on whichever service you are using. You can follow us on Twitter at Noizze Podcast. We are going to be back in around 10 days /2 weeks time. Need to look at the review schedule, but at the very least, I do believe we're going to be talking about the new Holding Absence album. So basically, be Sam holding me up. Really for like 40 minutes. I've got no doubt I'm going to absolutely adore that album because the singles so far are phenomenal. So yeah, at the very least, Holding Absence will be discussed in 14 days time. Thank you very much for listening to this episode. Remember, like, share, follow, subscribe. That's the best way to support us. And remember to support Satanic Tea Co, our sponsors. Thank you for listening. I will see you in 2 weeks time. Love you very much. Bye. Good shit, man. That was a really good episode. I really enjoyed that, bro.
Yeah, I agree. Always fun.
Amazing. I will be in contact tonight.
Are you going on PlayStation later?
Yeah, I'll be on PlayStation, bro. So I shall speak to you then, my friend.
Look forward to it, man. See you later, buddy.
Speak to you then, boy. See ya.
Bye. Safe.
Twitter at Noizze Podcast.